Hey everybody! In this video, we're going to be making a new little dragon friend. Of course, our toothless dragon needed a friend, needed a girlfriend. So we've gone ahead and we made a light fury. How cute is she? If you haven't already made the toothless, I'm gonna go ahead and link that video as well because he is also a must make. But for now, let's focus on her. We're gonna make her today. Let's get started. In this video, I'm going to be making my dragon in pink just because it's going to show up a little bit better on screen compared to like a white. I'm using Bernat blanket, so it's a weight 6 yarn, and I'm going to be using my 8mm crochet hook. I also have a tapestry needle, some scissors, a stitch marker, some 20mm safety eyes. I'm going to be using purple because it's my favorite color, and I think it's going to go well with the pink, and some polyfill. All right, let's get started. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the head all the way down to the tail. So let's begin with a magic ring. So we're gonna go ahead and make an X, insert under, and pull up this loop, yarn over, and pull through to secure. We're gonna go ahead and just kind of unfold this yarn tail out of the ring, and we'll come back and re-secure that later. So let's single crochet 8 into the magic ring. So this is round number 1 now. Okay, we'll go ahead and pull that tail. Okay, and we will start round 2. So round 2 is going to be single crochet 1, and we'll add our stitch marker. Okay, increase 2. So there's our first increase. Increase is just working 2 single crochet into the same stitch. Okay, there's second increase. We're going to single crochet 2 as normal. Then we're going to increase 2 times again. And then single crochet 1. Okay, round 3. We're going to start with a single crochet 2. Work 2 more increases. Single crochet 4. Two more increases. And then single crochet 2. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just stop there for a second. Just kind of pull that out a little bit. And I'm gonna go back and re-secure this magic ring. So taking my needle, I'm gonna go ahead and just follow the direction that the yarn is already going through in the circle and basically just double it up on itself. So we're just gonna go through the ring all the way around. And all that does is just make sure that it's not gonna just spread apart over time. There we go. Now I'm not gonna trim that, I'm just gonna leave it just the way it is. And since my work is inside out, I'm gonna go ahead and flip it the right way. There we go. So let's continue on. We are going to be doing round 4 is gonna start with a single crochet. Then we're gonna do an increase. So 2 single crochet into the same stitch. we're going to single crochet 3. Now we're going to be doing what I call it an increase 3 stitch. Basically, you're going to work 3 single crochet into the same stitch. So there's 1, 2, and 3. So that's what it looks like there, a little awkward. And then moving on, so single crochet 4. Another increase 3 stitch, so 3 single crochet into the same stitch. Okay, single crochet 3 as normal. An increase, just a regular one. And a single crochet 1. So you should have 22 stitches by the end of that round. Round number 5, we're just going to single crochet all the way around. So that will be a total of 22 single crochet. Okay, round number 6. We're going to single crochet 2. And a decrease. Now I'm going to show you guys, just like I do in all of my other videos, how I do my decreases. Just because it works really well for me. You do whatever method that you would like to do. But for mine, I want to make sure that it keeps the, basically like the stitch integrity. I want to make sure that it's going to be up to pulling and tugging, but also doesn't have any gaps. So to do it my way, you insert into the first stitch, pull up a loop. You're going to yarn over, pull through 1 loop. So you've created like a little fake stitch right there. Now insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. So when you look at that stitch, it looks a little bit gappy in the top. That's exactly how it should look. We're actually not going to be working through this hole. We're going to be working through the fake stitch that we created with the original yarn over, pull through 1. But you're not really going to see that happen until the next round. So take my word on it. I'll show you again when we come back to that stitch. Okay. Now we're going to single crochet 2. And now we're going to get real fancy and do a decrease 3. So same way how we did an increase 3 and we increased, 3 single crochet into the same stitch, we're going to turn 3 single crochet into 1 stitch. So we're going to do that by inserting, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1. Now we're just going to insert into the next and pull up a loop, and the next and pull up a loop. So you should have 4 loops on your hook. Keep them all nice and snug, yarn over and pull through all of them. Okay, and I'll show you when we come around in the next round how to work into this one as well. Okay, so let's do single crochet 4. We're going to do another decrease 3, so I will slow it down again for you. So insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, insert, pull up a loop, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 4. Then we're going to single crochet 2. And just a regular decrease. I think you guys get how it's worked here, but I'll show you one last time. So insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all of them. Okay, and the last 2 stitches are single crochet. So you can kind of see how this is working up now. We've got kind of like this squared off look. That's exactly what we're looking for. Okay. We are going to single crochet around. So when you get to that first decrease, if you were to work into this as normal and just go into like the top 2 loops of the stitch, you'll see that it creates a gap, which is exactly what we're trying to get away from. So let's take that out. And instead of going through the top 2 loops, we're actually going to go into this kind of hidden fake stitch we created under here. Your hook will go into it nicely. It's exactly where your hook wants to go. And whoops, create your stitch as normal. And you'll see that it's tightened it up completely. So there's no hole there anymore. It doesn't even look like it was a decrease, completely hidden. So let's move on. We'll get to the decrease 3 as well. And we're going to do the same thing. We're not going to go into the top 2 loops as you normally would. We're going to go one further down into that fake stitch that we created with the yarn over, pull through 1. And we will complete our stitch as normal. Okay. So again, basically that one isn't as invisible as the regular decrease, but is hidden pretty well. So we'll just continue working around. Okay, into the fake stitch we created in our decrease, or decrease 3, I guess. And the same thing for our regular decrease. Okay, now we're going to go single crochet 2. This is the beginning of round number 8. So single crochet 2 and then decrease. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. So single crochet 2 and decrease. Okay, we're going to stop here for a second and I'm just going to grab the safety eyes and we'll get those into place. Okay, so I grabbed my eyes. We're going to be putting our, remember they're 20mm safety eyes. If you wanted to go ahead and change the size, you're more than welcome to. You can also embroider your eyes after the project is done as well. So mine are 20mm. I'm going to be putting them between rounds 4 and 5. About 6 stitches roughly in between. So if we're going to be counting back, remember the magic ring is our round number 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to be placing, I think right about there, and here maybe, I think that's about 6 stitches apart, covering some of the stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. So that looks good. If you're questioning the positioning, those really sharp ridges on the chin that we made with the increase 3 and decrease 3, that's going to be the bottom of the face. So you're going to be centering your eyes to make sure that they lie flat with the chin. Okay, and that looks good to me. Go ahead and sink those into place. They look really funny before they're secure. They're kind of like sitting all bug-eyed on top. Let's see if I can do this without a tool, maybe. Oh, nice. Okay, there's one. Two. That one actually sunk in better than the other one for whatever reason. But they look the same from the outside. I wonder why one of them was easier than the other one. It's okay. I'm not going to mess with a good thing. Okay, good. So there are our eyes. They're looking great. We are going to continue off now with round number 9. That's going to be single crochet around. Remember our previous round, we worked some decrease stitches as well. So just make sure that whatever method you're using for your decreases, if you're using mine, to be inserting into that floating stitch. Oh, did I feel one of them pop out? Hold on a second here. No, they just touched each other. Okay. Crisis averted. Okay, and actually round number 10 is going to be the exact same thing. We're just going to be crocheting around. Okay. Now, if you would like to, you're welcome to start stuffing. I'm probably going to do that in just a couple more rounds, but you can really start stuffing at any time. Round number 11 is going to start with a single crochet and then an increase. And we are just going to be repeating that all the way around. So single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, all the way around. Okay, round number 12 is single crochet around. round number 13. Going to start with an increase. Single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 1, increase, single crochet 11, increase, single crochet 1. All right, so we are at the size that the body's basically going to be all the way, almost basically all the way till we get to the tail. So rounds number 14 to 19, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 rounds, we're just going to be single crochet around. Okay, so we just made it to the end of round 19. If you ever lose track of where you are, because I almost did as well, I'm going to show you guys how you can find out what round you're on. So let's find our stitch marker, which is right here. We're going to go to the opposite side of the work. So basically, you don't want to get caught between, is this the beginning of a certain row or the end of a row? Because sometimes you can end up with the wrong count. So we're going to go just to the center of the row, or the round, I guess, and count from there. So let's find our starting place, number 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Perfect. Now, of course, if you were not where you thought you were, then you can adjust your round count as well. I'm also going to start stuffing my head. I kind of meant to do it just a little bit sooner than now, but I was on a roll with the single crochet around, so that's all right. You can still get it in. Basically, all I'm going to be doing is just making sure that I get all of the fill around the eye pegs inside, so they're not getting hung up on the pegs. And also into the cheeks as well. We want to be filling out those cheek spots. Okay, we're pretty close. You can see with the stuffing as well, it really squares out the face. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. So we're squishy. I don't know if I would even call it firm, to be honest, but a firm squish. Does that make sense? All right, so let's keep going here. We are on round number 20 now. Now we're gonna start the really slow taper off into the tail. So we are going to do single crochet 9, and then a decrease. And then we are going to repeat that one more time. So in single crochet 9 and then a decrease. Okay, round number 21 is another decreasing round. So we are going to single crochet 4, and then decrease, single crochet 8, and then a decrease, and a single crochet 4. Okay, round number 22, we are just going to single crochet around. Okay, round number 23, we are going to single crochet 7, and then decrease, and then we'll repeat that again. So single crochet 7 and then decrease. Okay, I'm just gonna pop the stitch out for a second so that I can add a little bit more stuffing to the body. Okay. Okay, I think that's good for now. We'll add a little bit more in a few more rounds. Round number 24, so we are going to be decreasing again. So we're going to single crochet 3, decrease, single crochet 6, and then decrease. And single crochet 3. Round number 25, we're going to single crochet around. Okay, I'm going to add some more fluff. Okay. Round number 20, where are we? 26. We are going to single crochet 5. I'm going to decrease. And we are going to repeat that. So single crochet 5. And a decrease. Okay, and then round number 27, so we're going to single crochet 2. And decrease. Single crochet 4. Decrease. Single crochet 2. Okay, rounds number 28 and 29, so the next 2 rounds, we are just going to single crochet around. All right, so before we go ahead and start round number 30, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish stuffing the body. After this round, I actually don't stuff the tail anymore, and that's just because I want the tail to be nice and floppy. If you would like a stiffer tail, then you can absolutely continue stuffing. especially till I don't have enough stuffing in the neck. Here we go. Basically just use my hook to pull the fluff from the inside and distribute it differently as I go. Okay, that's better. Yes, much better. I didn't check the neck area very well the first time, and there was like a big gap of stuffing right here. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. So I'm just gonna put my fluff away. We don't need it anymore until we get to the feet. And let's finish off this tail. So round number 30, we're gonna keep going. So single crochet 2, and decrease, single crochet 6, okay, round number 31, we are going to single crochet 7, and as you probably already guessed, we're gonna do a decrease. Okay, round number 32, we're just gonna single crochet around. Okay, round number 33, we're gonna single crochet 3, decrease, single crochet 3. Okay, round number 34, decrease, single crochet 5. Okay, so now for the next, so round 35 all the way to 41. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds. We're just gonna single crochet around. Okay, so that's what it looks like after round 41. There's only, oh, I guess there's actually still, I was gonna say there's only a few more rounds left, but there's actually quite a few more rounds left. So round number 42, we're gonna decrease again. So we're gonna single crochet 4 and then decrease. Okay. And then the last few rounds I say few, it's 14. The last 14 rounds, we are going to single crochet around, which is 5 stitches each. So 5 times 14, 70 stitches. So we have 70 more stitches to go, and then the tail is done. Here we go. Yay, we made it! That was the end of round 56. That was quite a marathon. Let's go ahead and cut ourselves a yarn tail. So maybe about that much. And we will close off the tail. So to fasten off, we are just going to yarn over and pull through all the way, kind of like a chain stitch. Tighten it, and now it's secure. And then we will go ahead and close up the hole. I think there's a couple different methods to do this. This is how I do mine. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up the front loop only of all of the stitches all the way around, kind of alternating up and down. So I'll show you what I mean. So I come from the up, going down through the loop, starting from the down position, going up through the next. Okay, top, down, bottom, up, and then top down the last one. And we give it a nice little tug, and it's completely shut nicely. Now I'm going to go ahead and follow the same direction all the way around again. Basically just doubling up the circle. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring this yarn tail a little further into the tail as well. I want to make sure that it's really secure. Maybe about that far. And then I'm just going to kind of weave through the rounds a little bit. So I'm just kind of inserting my needle into the stitches on the inside. Okay, so I've done one direction. I'm going to come back into the next round. On a diagonal, I'm going to go across, across, across. Okay. 3 stitches seems to be the best I can do in that small, narrow tail. Okay, let's go ahead to the next round as well and do the exact same thing. Okay, 1, 2, 3 stitches, and that's it. So no matter where you pull that from, it's not going to come undone. Very secure. We will drop it into the tail. Come up somewhere as far as we can. Okay, and then we can cut it off here. Little stretch. Wonderful. We did it. Well, we did half of it. We finished the body. So you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see the whole thing on camera here, but that is what we have. So we've got the kind of like square shaped face, adorable eyes, and all the way down to the tail. Now we're going to go ahead and start making the legs. So all the legs are worked the same way. So what I'm going to show you now, you're going to make 4 of these. So we're going to start with our magic ring again. So let's go ahead and get that started. Make an X under the yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the loop. And again, I'm going to go ahead and just take this strand out of the circle, basically just stops it from snapping every time you close your magic circle. And we'll go ahead and secure it in a few rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and single crochet 8 into the magic ring. There we go. And round number 2. Let's see if we can get in there. There we go. Starts with a single crochet 2. And we are going to do what is called, I'm calling it a picot 2 stitch. So this is going to be for the toenails. We are going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then in the second chain from the hook, we are going to do a slip stitch. Okay, it looks like this. And then we're going to come in and we are going to do a slip stitch just into the base where we single crocheted our last single crochet. Here we go. Okay, so we come back down to the base. Now we're going to single crochet 1. And we're going to picot 2 again. So that's chain 2, slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. And then we're going to bring it back down into the base by doing a slip stitch into the same stitch where we worked our single crochet. We're going to single crochet 1 into the next stitch. And then we're going to do our last toe. So we're going to chain 2, slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. And then we're going to bring it back down to the base. So slip stitch into the base where we single crocheted into. Okay, so we've got 3 toes. We are going, oh, we need to do one more toe. Single crochet 1. Sorry, I got ahead of myself there. Another picot 2. Okay, so we know how to do that now. And bring it back down to the base with a slip stitch. So now we've got 4 toes. Then we single crochet 3. Okay, and now before I move on, I'm going to go ahead and just close off my magic ring and secure it. Same way I did the head, I'm just going to basically go through the stitches all the way around the magic ring again in the same direction that it was already going, and just make sure that it's not going to unravel. Okay, good. I'm going to leave that tail there. It will just be inside the foot. So now for the next round, we are going to be doing increase all the way around. So let's start. We know that we started off with 2 single crochet in the beginning, so let's work into those first. So an increase into the first one, and then an increase into the next one. Okay, now our next increase, remember we worked 1 picot 2 stitch, we slip stitched back into the base, and we did a single crochet 1. The single crochet 1 is the only thing that counts as a stitch. So we're just going to find that single crochet and do an increase right into it. Skip everything else. And make sure when you're working into that single crochet that you're working behind the toe so the toe gets pushed out to the front. Okay? So same thing. There's only 1 single crochet in between these toes, so let's find it. Basically just feeling around here. And we're going to place an increase right in there. Okay, next one, increase into the single crochet. And then for the last one, the last little stretch here, we know there was 3 single crochet. So we're gonna have 3 increases. Perfect. So this is what you're looking like now. You've got the 3 like little bubble or 4 bubble toes kind of sticking out there, and all of our stitches work all the way in the ring. Okay, so let's move on. We're gonna do round number 4. We're gonna single crochet around. Okay, round number 5, we're going to start with a single crochet 3. And then a decrease. Single crochet 1. And a decrease. Single crochet 1. And another decrease. Single crochet 3. And finish with a decrease. Okay, you can start stuffing your feet at any time. I'm gonna wait probably to the very end. So let's start with round number 6. You're gonna do single crochet 1 and decrease all the way around. Okay, round number 7. We're going to start with a single crochet 1. And a decrease. Single crochet 2. And decrease. And single crochet 1. I think I'm gonna stuff mine here. There's only a little bit left to do on the foot. Okay. Look how cute and nubby they look. All right, that's good for now. I'll probably top it off with a little bit more stuffing at the very end. We are going to do round number 8, and we're just going to single crochet around. Okay, now is basically we're gonna be closing off the top. So add any final stuffing that you need to add now. I actually do need just a little bit more. I like my toes to be a little bit more firm, kind of than the rest of the body, because when it's standing, it actually kind of supports the body as opposed to just flopping around. And then you can kind of stand up, you know what I mean? Okay. So I'm happy with that. As you can tell, firm but still squishy. Now, usually when I come to this point, I need to add one more single crochet to get to the edge. Basically, the goal is that we want to be able to single crochet the edges together, so 3 across, so that our toes are facing forwards. So if you have the same kind of tension in your stitches that I do, you're just going to have to single crochet 1. If you're a little bit more loose, you might have to take away 1, I'm not sure. But either way, you want to be right here at the end, okay? We are going to be single crocheting, let's see here, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next stitch and come out the current stitch that I'm in. It's a little awkward. Let's see if I can get it in there. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then you can see here, I mean, I might be off by a hair, but it is basically straight with the middle 2 toes. So that's exactly what we want. We are going to fasten off with a tail this time, because we are going to be using this yarn tail to be sewing onto the body. And we're just going to bring that through. Okay, fasten off. And that is 1 leg. So you go ahead and make 3 more of those, and we'll meet back here together. Okay, so now that we've finished making all 4 of our legs, we should have 4 of these by now, set them aside for the moment. We're going to be doing all of our assembly all together at the very end. So we're just going to finish making all the pieces first. So set those aside, and now we're going to start making the big ears. I assume they're ears. The 2 large ones that the Light Fury has at the very top center of her head. So we're going to start with a magic ring. And we are going to do 6 single crochet into the magic ring. Okay, pull that tight. Round number 2, we're going to do 2 single crochet. Okay, and then an increase. And then 2 single crochet and an increase. See if I can get it in there. Goodness, there we go. Okay, I'm going to secure my yarn tail here in the magic ring. There we go. Okay, now in round number 3, we are going to single crochet around. Actually, we're going to do that for both round 3 and 4. Single crochet around. Okay, and then in round 5, we're going to do single crochet 2. And decrease. And single crochet 2. And decrease. And that is it for the ear. So now we're going to go ahead, cut our yarn with a good yarn tail, a few inches for sewing onto the head. We can fasten off by pulling our yarn tail through our working loop. And that is it. We're not going to be stuffing the ears, so they are good just the way they are. Okay, so go ahead, make 2 of those, and then we will meet back here. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and we are going to make our 2 wings. So to start that, we're going to leave just a little bit of a tail here, and we're going to go ahead and do a slip knot. Okay, and we're going to start with a chain 5. Now starting in the second chain from the hook, so not this guy right here, this one is our second chain, okay? We are going to start with a half double crochet 1 in that stitch, and then 3 more across, so a total of 4 half double crochet. As you can tell, I've actually just gone ahead and loosened up my tension just a little bit. I don't really want my wings to be so tight that they start to curl. You want them to be kind of loose and flappy, so you can loosen up a little bit if your tension is normally tight. And okay, so at the end there, we're going to go ahead, chain 1 and turn. So now we're going to work back in the opposite direction. We are going to do a single crochet 2. Now I'm just going to show you guys a little bit of a trick here. It's kind of tough to see with this big bulky yarn, but if you were using a worsted yarn, it would be a little bit more noticeable. On the back of your half double crochet stitches, you have 3 loops, right? So you've got the 2 on the top, and then there's 1 hanging out in the back here. If you stitch as normal, so I'm just going to just put a single crochet in there, you can see that this loop, this 3rd loop, is just hanging out in the back. Now, since we're doing mirror images of each other for the wings, let me show you what they look like right here. Right, you want them to be complete mirror images of each other. That extra 3rd loop will like really show up on one of the wings, and it won't look exactly the same on both wings. So there's 2 different ways that you can kind of combat this. I'm just going to show you guys the easiest ones. You don't have to think too hard about it. The easiest option is just to go through all 3 loops. So when you're inserting your hook, go through the 3rd loop and the top 2. So then no matter what, there's no extra loop hanging around anywhere. The other option, which is something that I do with my usually like the worsted patterns, because I do like having the ribbing in there because it kind of looks like veins on the wings, is that on one of your wings you can go through the top 2 loops and have, you know, that 3rd loop hanging out in the back. And then the next time you run through it, you can go through the back 2 loops and have the top loop as your vein running through. So it actually will be a mirror image as long as you stay consistent with which way you're doing it on each piece. So basically on one wing, always through the top 2 loops, and on the second wing, always through the back 2 loops. So you can do it that way if you choose. I'm gonna do the easy way so I don't have to think too hard, and I'm just gonna go through all 3 loops on every half double crochet. Single crochet is not a big deal because there's never a back loop hanging out there. So, okay, so sorry, that was my little side piece. Let's keep going. We're gonna do single crochet 2. You notice I went through all 3 loops there. And then we're gonna do a half double crochet 2. Okay. And then we're gonna chain 4. Extend our wing out a little bit. Now we're gonna turn our work. Doesn't look like a whole lot at the moment, but we are turning our work. And starting in the second chain from the hook, so again, not this one beside, but the next one, we're going to do half double crochet 5. So 3 of them are gonna go into that chain. Okay. And I'm going through all 3 loops of my half double crochet. There we go. That's 5. And then we're going to do a single crochet 1. And then we're going to do an increase. Okay. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to do single crochet 3. Half double crochet 5. And then we're going to chain 4 again. Okay. Now we are going to single crochet 3 back down the chain. So starting in the second chain from the hook, so not this guy, but this guy. And now we're going to start a wing specific stitch. So again, because I mentioned that we want our 2 wings to mirror each other, I'm going to bring this one in here again. We're going to be doing this border stitch all the way down. So on one wing, we're going to be doing a twisted single crochet, and the other wing, we're going to be doing a crab stitch. And that's just so they look identical. If you didn't do if you did the same stitch on both, you kind of end up with the stitches looking basically opposite to each other, which is not what we want. It's not very obvious in this velvet yarn, but it's a little more obvious using like the bulky yarn or definitely the worsted where you see absolutely everything. So let's get going. We're gonna start with the twisted single crochet. This one's my favorite. So to do that, we're going to insert into the stitch and pull up a loop, just like a single crochet. Stretch it up just a little bit, give yourself some extra give, and then you're gonna go ahead and spin your hook, just like that. If it doesn't spin comfortably and it feels really, really snug, you just need to go ahead and lift your stitch up even higher, okay? So spin it and then just yarn over and pull through, just like that. And it looks a little high at the moment, but that is exactly what it's supposed to look like. So let's do that again. So insert, pull up a loop, okay? Make it nice and loose. And I spin my whole hook like that because I think it makes me feel like a bit of a ninja. But you can also just kind of rotate your whole hand around if you prefer to do it that way. But for me, I'm gonna stick with the ninja. So we're gonna go ahead and do that all the way up this line here. So you'll end up doing that for a total of 7 stitches. Okay. Now when we get to the, actually hold on a second, did I do 7? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, perfect. So in the last stitch here, we're gonna work 2 of those stitches. So 2 of the twisted single crochet. I can get in there. Okay. And now we're just gonna go ahead and continue on this edge right here. So I usually work about 3 of the stitches. If you end up working more or less, it doesn't really matter as long as you work the same number of stitches on the other wing as well, because you want it to be exactly a mirror. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and work 1 and 2 and then 3. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna slip stitch in the exact same stitch where we are right now. Oops. And then fasten off. Give yourself a little bit of a tail there. Okay, perfect. Now, when we go to attach the wings, which we're not doing just yet, we're gonna make the second one first, but what we're going to be sewing through, you can use markers if you need to, is you can see the original, we did 5 chains, but 4 of them are really the foundation, right? One of them was a turning chain. So you're going to mark the first, did I pull a second stitch marker? Okay, and then the second chain as well. Whoops. I don't know how that happened. There we go. So those 2 foundation chains are where we're going to be attaching to the body only. So we're not going to be stitching through those, the last 2. Okay, so mark those if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and get all the way to the special stitch on the second wing, and then I'll show you guys how to do that one as well. Alrighty, so we are back to the special stitch on the wing. So I just went ahead, started row number 6 with the single crochet 3, and then we're basically doing the edge stitch, which we started with the twisted single crochet. Now we're going to be doing a crab stitch. So the crab stitch is kind of fun too. It's a little different. What we're going to do, give yourself a little bit of extra working room here. Flip your whole work backwards. Okay, so this is what we look like right now. And one thing that didn't work with my spin is get your working yarn behind you there. Okay, so now this is what we look like. Okay, and we are going to insert, this is a little awkward, insert into the next stitch. I need to make sure that I'm going through all 3 of my loops there. Okay, this is what we look like. Bring the loop up. Okay, so now we have 2 loops, even though they're close together. Yarn over and pull through. You don't want this to be super tight, kind of like the twisted crochet. You want it to be kind of loose. Okay, so give yourself a little extra give there into the next stitch. Pull that up, that loop, yarn over and pull through. So it almost takes a little bit of practice. Oh, I see, I didn't actually go through all 3 loops, so I'm just gonna take off that last stitch. It would bother me if I didn't redo it. There we go. So we're gonna go ahead and work 7 of those special stitches across this edge here. Okay, good. And in the last one here, the last stitch in this edge, we're going to work 2 crab stitches. Also a little awkward, but it can be done. So there's the 1 and the 2. Okay. And then again, I worked 3 stitches across this edge, so we're going to work 3 across this edge as well. 1, 2, and 3. Now to do that last slip stitch, because we want to do that to fasten off, I'm going to spin my work back in the direction it normally would sit. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a slip stitch as normal. Okay, and then fasten off with a bit of a tail for sewing. Okay, and just because I marked the other one, I will go ahead and just mark those 2 stitches on here as well so you guys can follow along. So it's the first chain there. It's a little hidden by my knots, but it's there. And then there's the second one. So side by side, this is actually the back of both panels here. So you can see that the stitches are kind of overlapping a little bit. You know, that's the wrong side. So flip it back over to here and you got the nice looping look. That is the front of our wings. Okay, so let's set these aside with the rest of our pieces. We're going to work the tail next, and then we will go ahead and do all of the assembly. Okay, so I've gone ahead and grabbed my body. We're gonna do the tail here. For working the tail, basically what you're going to do is lay your body flat, and you're just gonna kind of flatten the tail all the way down to the end, so you can see where you want to be doing the tail on, basically on either side of this. You don't want to go ahead and kind of like unspiral the tail to stack the stitches, because it's just going to kink right back up and spiral. So however it naturally wants to sit, that's what you go with. And I'm going to go ahead and just insert into the tippiest part of the tail that you can find. That's where we want to go into. So for me, that looks like this. Grab my yarn here, give yourself a little bit of a tail for weaving in later, and just pull up a loop. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and chain 1 to secure it. And now we're going to be working up the tail here towards the body. So we are going to single crochet 4, starting in the same stitch where we attached. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to do 1 slip stitch into the next stitch here. Okay, now we're going to chain 1 and turn. So chain 1, turn. I'm just going to move the whole body over here. Here we go. Now, as you're working this part of the tail, you don't want it to be like so tight that it starts to wave and curl and everything. So if you stitch tight normally, kind of like I do, loosen up your tension a little bit here so it lays flat. So we're going to skip our first stitch here, which is a slip stitch. We're going to go into the next stitch, and we are going to do a single crochet 1. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do 2 half double crochet. Into the next stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochet. Okay. And then into this last stitch here, we're going to be working 3 half treble crochets. So I'll show you what that looks like. So that is yarn over 1, 2 times, insert into the stitch. If I can get in there. Here we go. Okay, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 3. Okay. So again, yarn over twice, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. So it's kind of similar how like a half double crochet is right in between a single crochet and a double. The half treble crochet is the half step between the double and the treble. So the more you know if you've never heard that one before. We're gonna do it one more time. So a 3rd treble into the same stitch. Okay, so we've got this nice rounded shape going here. We're gonna go ahead and we are going to chain 3. And we're just gonna bring this all the way back down and slip stitch into that same stitch where we worked all the half trebles. And then we're gonna fasten off. So give yourself a bit of a tail. Okay, and that's what we look like. Nice little fan. So we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. So let's work through this together. We are going to insert, again, as far into the tippy top that we can get our hook in. Let's see if I can find a spot here. You want it to be on the opposite side as much as you can. There's 5 stitches here, so it won't be a perfect opposite, but come on, you. I must have sewn through that a few times. That was really difficult. Okay, there we go. So we attach our yarn. Okay, chain 1. And again, we're going to do 4 single crochet, starting where we just added our yarn. Okay, 1. 2. 3. 4. And then a slip stitch. Okay. Again, a lot of these rows just had 5 stitches, so just do your best to keep it, you know, on the opposite side. Okay, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Again, I'm going to just move my whole body around here. Skipping the first stitch here into the next, we're going to work a single crochet 1, then 2 half double crochet, okay, then 2 double crochet, and then the 3 half trebles, and then we finish it off with a chain 3 and a slip stitch back down where we worked all the half trebles. Oh, I almost lost that one. Let's get you back in there. Okay, and we will fasten off with a bit of a tail and secure. Perfect, we're looking good. That shape looks really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of sink all of these tails here. So basically all I'm gonna do is take the tails from this side of the tail and knot them with this side of the tail, but like inside the tail. If that makes sense. I feel like I just said tail a lot of times. So we will sink that inside. And bring this one in as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and double knot this. And then just sink the tails. The tails into the tail, if you know what I mean. There's one. And two. And then just trim off the excess. Careful not to actually cut your project. That would probably make me cry, personally. Okay, that was one, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing with the last two. Okay, fabulous. So the tail is done. Now let's go ahead and I think we're gonna sew on let's do the legs next. Okay, this is where we're gonna go ahead and grab our legs. Grab two for now. We're gonna sew the front legs on first. And I'm just gonna go ahead and use 2 needles so I can kind of eyeball this well. There's like nothing worse than trying to sew on a limb and it goes on crooked because then you got to pull it out and everything. So I definitely do the whole measure twice, sew once, you know what I mean? So grab your front legs. We are going to sew these between rounds 13 and 14 of the body. So since we haven't marked them with stitch markers or anything, we're going to go ahead and just kind of count backwards. So starting from the nose, this is round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So basically we're coming somewhere between these stitches here. Okay, so now all you're gonna do, I tried to raise up my camera a little bit so you can see, so I can kind of stick this forward. Didn't work out. Actually almost broke my iPad, so I'm gonna kind of share as best as I can here. Basically, all you're gonna be doing is trying to line up the legs so that they are basically in line with the eyes. The eyes are the important part. So there's probably gonna be 2 stitches, that's usually what happens for me, in between the legs so that they're centered nicely. So I'm actually just gonna come off camera just here for a quick second. I think the 2 stitches I just picked, yep, are exactly where they need to go. So I'm going to, this one's on the inside, add it in here. Okay, there's my first one. Perfect. And then on my leg on the other side, my yarn actually starts on the 3rd one in. So I'm gonna count 2 stitches plus 1, 2, 3 is where the outside of this leg is gonna go. There we go. You guys followed along with my math there. Okay, so again, measure twice, cut once. I'm just gonna take this off camera for a second and just make sure, yes, we line up. Perfect. Okay, that makes me happy. So to sew this in place, I went through one stitch, right? Come over here. Went through one stitch. So I'm gonna come bring it back into the first stitch of the leg. And I go through every stitch twice because limbs always get a lot of love and tugging. So we don't want these coming off. We don't want the yarn to rip. So I double sew everything. So there's the first stitch there. Then into the next stitch. Here we go. Okay, and that goes into the center stitch on the leg. I'm gonna go through that body again, back through the leg again, and then the body, leg, twice. Okay, good. And I'm actually just gonna sink this yarn and kind of pull it up somewhere in the center because I'm actually just gonna tie this leg off with the other one. You can kind of weave it in and out of stitches if you want to. I am a little bit lazy, and so I'm going to tie them off together. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing with the other leg, and I will meet you back here in a second. Okay, so the two legs are secured. I'm gonna go ahead, like I mentioned, and just secure these two tails together. I'm going to probably triple knot these guys. I'm always paranoid about stuff coming undone. Here we go. And then we're just gonna sink the tails the same way that we did with the actual tail, actually. Just bring it up through the body, come out in another spot here. And the second one. Oops, not quite long enough. Get in there, you. There we go. Okay, and then we will trim the excess. Perfect. And then we have 2 feet. I'm gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing now with the second set of feet. So let's put those on the table. And we are going to put the back legs between rounds 20 and 21. So let me just add my needles here first. And we are going to put them between 20 and 21. So we know this leg was 13 and 14. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. So we're going to be in here somewhere. I'm just going to eyeball this. I usually, with the way I stitch, again, have a 2-stitch gap, and I can tell already that it's in line with my other set of legs. But again, you want to do the eyeball test and make sure it's in line with your eyes as well. So I'm just going to take this off the table for a second. We are in line with the eyes. Perfect. If you're, the stitch gap might be a little bit different for everybody if your tension's different as well. So if you only have a 1-stitch gap, in between the two, totally fine too. It's going to be 1 stitch or 2 stitches. Okay. Now let's go ahead and add these in as well. So put it in the first stitch to the one side of my gap. And then this one, 2 stitch gap plus 3, 2, 3 here for the legs. Oh, up here. Did I do that right for the counting? I'm like second guessing my round here for a second. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay. There was that measure twice thing coming out again. Here we go. I'm going to sew these in place, doing the same thing, going through each stitch in the foot and the body 2 times, and I'll meet you back here. Alrighty, so we've gone ahead and got all the legs on there. I wish I could zoom out a little bit more, but when I completely finish up everything, I will do a zoom out shot of the whole piece, and then you can see. But basically, you know, this is what the belly looks like. So hopefully yours looks just like this. We're gonna go ahead and work on. Let's do the wings next. Let's grab the wings and we'll get those sewn into place. All right, so I've gone ahead and grabbed my wings. So how they are positioned on the body is you want the wings to be facing kind of like going up, and then the back of the wings are towards the back of the body. Okay, now we are going to be, again, just sewing through the 2 marked stitches that we have here, sewing them into the body. We're gonna have 1 stitch going into one part of the body and 1 stitch going into the next row below it. And then the rest of kind of like these last 2 are just gonna be floating freely. So they're gonna be quite movable, yeah, and just like pliable and everything. So let's go ahead and position those on the body. I'm just gonna do 1 wing at a time. Oh, before we get started, I will also mention, remember how I talked about the top and the bottom of the wings, right? So when you lay them on top of your body, you want to have the right side, so the nice swirly side, not the crossed side. You want to have the nice swirled side facing upwards. So when they're on the body, they look like this, okay? The under part of the wing faces down, the nice part of the wing faces up. So I'm gonna set one of these aside for now, and we are going to sew in. I'm gonna do the left side looking down first. So I have 2 yarn tails here. Doesn't really matter which one I use to sew. I'm gonna be securing both of them inside the body later. So whichever one is longer, I guess, pick one of those. We are going to be sewing the first stitch of the wing between rounds 14 and 15. Okay, so let's count back again from the nose. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we're gonna be somewhere in here. Okay, now how we position the wings between, like the gap between the 2, is I usually have a stitch gap of 1 or 2 stitches in between the 2 wings. So in order to figure that out, basically you're going to be lining it up with your eyes and seeing where is your center point. So when I line it up with my eyes, it looks like I have a 2 stitch gap to make it centered to the eyeballs. So that is exactly what we're gonna do. So these 2 stitches are my gap, so I want to go over to this stitch right here, to the side of it. We're gonna come in here. Okay, now I'm going to come through the wing, that first stitch there. Okay, and I'm gonna do that twice. So let's go back through the body one more time. Okay, and then through the wing, same stitch. Okay, and then we are going to go into the next gap between rounds here. So we went between 14 and 15 here. We want 15 and 16 on the next one. Actually, before we go ahead and sew that in, again, measure twice. Let's get the other wing secured in the first stitch and make sure we still have a 2-stitch gap for the second stitch. Let's do that. So we are going to grab our other wing and grab another needle here. Okay. And we are going to insert with a 2-stitch gap. We're going to come up through the body right here. Okay, through that first stitch. Okay, back through the body. And through the stitch again. Oh, I didn't go through the stitch that time. There we go. Okay, now for the second one, double check that you still only have a 2-stitch gap. Okay, so for me to be centered, I do have a 2-stitch gap, so I'm going to keep that 2 stitches, but you may only have 1 to keep it centered. Okay, so that's okay if you just have a 1 gap in the next one. Now I'm just going to stay on this wing because I'm kind of already working on it, but basically into the next body stitch between rounds 15 and 16. And then we're going to go through the next stitch on the wing. Okay, body and wing. And then that's it. I'm just going to go ahead and sink that somewhere in the middle here so I can tie it off with the other wing. Okay, and we will set that aside. Coming back to the other wing, let's get that last stitch in place. Okay, I'm going to twist it around here. There we go. Okay, next one is through the body here. Oh, you guys are gonna laugh. I noticed, did I go through the wrong part of the body? Oh, when you guys are watching this, you're probably going, no, Emily, stop. I went through the wrong stitch on this wing. Sorry, guys. I actually went between, I didn't go between 15 and 16, I did 16 and 17. We don't want that, we want it to be even. So let me just undo my mistake here. You're fine if you're using fluffy yarn like I use, and it's hard to unravel. This is my trick for getting the yarn out as you've been sewing. Sticking a needle in there gently and just pulling it through saves you from shredding your yarn with your fingers trying to pull it out. There we go. Okay, yes, I can see now where I totally made that mistake. Sorry, guys. I'm just gonna speed up the video because I've technically already sewn this in once before. glad I double checked that. It was looking weird. Okay. Now we will go ahead. I'm going to sink this yarn tail as well. Meet them in the center. And I'm going to tie them together. Okay, and then these extra yarn tails that are just hanging out on the wings, we're going to do the exact same thing and just sink them into the body and tie them off together. So we'll just kind of come up, we'll come into the stitch, I guess. Okay. All right, let's trim off all of these tails here. If you're noticing like a bit of a gap between your stitches, whoops, a gap between your stitches while you're sinking your yarn, just kind of wiggle it around a little bit and your gap will go away. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, we're almost done with the sewing, which is really exciting. It's not my favorite part of the project, but if you can see, kind of, I know we're still really zoomed in. I'm gonna see if I can zoom out a little bit. Our wings are in place. They're looking really good. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on the ears. Sorry, I couldn't figure out the zoom. My husband's gonna be editing this video later going, do you want me to show you how to use your equipment? Okay, so set this aside for a second. I'm just gonna prep these ears a little bit first. So I'm just going to put the needle on here. We didn't close this up with stitches just because I didn't really want them to be super floppy. Kind of wanted them to stand up straight. If we did stitches, then they'd be flopping all over the place and not really holding their structure. So, but I do kind of want to close this gap. So since we have 6 stitches across, I'm going to go ahead and just sew the 2 edges together. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and 3. You could just, you know, kind of do that as you're going, but I find this keeps everything together a lot nicer. So now I have the 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, to sew through for the head. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other one, just real quick here. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my other needle so we can position these guys at the same time. Okay. And let's bring our head over here. So, okay, so where we are going to be placing our ears here is between rounds 6 and 7. So let's grab, I'm just gonna grab this to kind of show. So this is round 1 at the nose, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we're gonna be in here somewhere. Okay, now again, you're going to be centering this to the eyes. So take a look. I definitely do have a 2-stitch gap. You might have this, well, that's pretty close too. It might be 1. Let's tough to say. I'm gonna go with 2 stitches for mine. That looks a little bit more balanced. Yeah, definitely. You may have a 1 stitch gap. Either way, it's gonna be 1 or 2, so just take a look and see how you have that centered. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and insert into the stitch right adjacent to the gap there. Let's push these legs out of the way a little bit. Okay, there's 1 and 2. So basically it's going to look like this. How cute. So let's go ahead and stitch that in. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing I did with everything else and stitch through every stitch twice. And then I'll meet you back here. Okay, yay, look how cute she is. Oh my goodness. I love these like dorky little ears always make her look so surprised. Love her facial expression. We have is it just one last step? It is just one last step, you guys. We are going to do the little tiny secondary ears, gills, frillies, I'm not sure. Just on the outside here. It's gonna be super fast. So we are so close to being done. Let's grab our yarn for the last time. We are going to go on the side here. You're going to be stitching in line with the ear that you just sewed in place, and you're going to insert into the stitch like directly adjacent. So it's almost like in the ear kind of thing. So go in there and come up just through this 1 stitch. And we are going to attach our yarn here. We are going to chain 2. And then in the second chain from the hook, so skip this one, the only chain that's left, you're going to run a single crochet. Yes, it feels awkward, but it does work. Here we go. And that is it. So fasten off. I know it seems like a weird thing to do. Okay, so I just cut my yarn. I'm just gonna yarn over and pull through. And we're just gonna basically be folding this in place in a second. So yes, I know it looks really bizarre just hanging out there. So take the yarn tail that you just snipped, and we are going to get this in place here. I'm going to just insert into the stitch, the same stitch where we kind of came up from. And I'm just going to come into this loop in behind. I'm going to tie it off against the other yarn tail that we have there. Okay, tie those off. Okay, and sink the tails. I think I was joking about this when I did the toothless pattern as well. I think it would be kind of funny to see what the inside of this project looks like with all the crisscrossing tails getting threaded all the way through. I bet there's more, more than we realize. Okay, so that one is done. Let's cut these tails. Okay, and we'll do a little close up here so you can see just this like little thing here. That is just a nice little finishing touch. So let's do the same thing on the other side. We are going to insert on this one basically the exact opposite of what we did on the last side. So you still want to start in the stitch directly adjacent to the ear. So now my project's facing away from me, so we want to get in here under that stitch. Okay, add our yarn. We are going to do our chain 2. Okay, single crochet 1 in the second chain from the hook. Okay, and then we're going to fasten off. Okay, and then with our needle, we're going to go ahead and just sink it into the head. Yay, it's done. Oh my goodness. How exciting. I'm gonna go pose her somewhere else where I can actually zoom out and show you what she looks like. Yay, so there's our girls. They're all done. They turned out beautifully as well. So we've got all the way from the tail to the wings to the super, super cute ears here. I love the ears. How could you not love that little face? And then as promised, I'll show you guys her tummy as well because we couldn't get a good view of it before, but that's what she looks like there. See if I can get her back in place, kind of. Anyways, thank you so much for following along. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And if you haven't watched the toothless tutorial just yet, I will also link that probably in the description, unless there's a little way I can get it to pop up as well. I'm sure my husband will help me with that too. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.